Hello, and welcome to another episode of Blackboard Wednesday. I'm your host, Jonah. This is where we cover music theory, music ideas, concepts, and other tutorials. Today, we are going to cover the concept of sharps and flat notes. And in later episodes, we're going to talk about key signatures and how to use those sharps and flat notes. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so you've probably seen what a keyboard looks like. It's divided into white keys and black keys. Let's break down the layout of it a little bit. So if you've noticed, and there's going to be the white keys on the bottom and the black keys on top, but the black keys are divided into groups of 2 and 3, and this is for any keyboard. So the musical alphabet is going to go from A, B, C, D, E, F, G back to A. So when we're looking at the groups of 2s and 3s, a good marker is to look for a group of 2, and the white note to the left of it is always going to be C. So in this case, I ran out of room to draw more, but here's a group of 2. The key to the left, the white key, is going to be C. Here's another group of 2. The key to the left is going to be a C. So with that being said, all of that just kind of, you can fill out the notes after that. So C, D comes after C, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It repeats after G, back to A, B, C, D, onward and onward until you get to the end of the keyboard, which is a high C. The white keys are what are known as natural notes, and that's represented by this symbol. It kind of looks like a little square with lines coming out of it. Usually the natural symbol isn't used. If you're just looking at the letter like C, D, E, it's going to be a natural sign most of the time unless the key signature specifies, which I'll get into in a later episode. But for now, if you just see like a G written, it's going to be natural. This is used later on, like I said, during key signatures if you want to move back from a sharp or a flat to the natural note. So it just kind of tells you you're going back to a natural note. So let's get into sharps and flats. The main concept with a sharp and a flat is a sharp, you're raising the note up one pitch or one half step, and with the flat, you're lowering the note down a half step. And what a half step is just the next note right over. So if I'm in C, the next note over is going to be a black key. And then if I'm on C sharp in this case, and I want to move one note over again, or one half step over, I'm going to be into D, and so on and so forth. So it's every note. So if I'm A, I'm going to go to a black key, then back down to a white key. Here, in this case, though, B and C don't have a black key in between, so a half step would just be to the next white key. Same with E and F. There's no black key separating them, so it'd be from white key to white key as a half step. So just think of the concept as a half step as the next key over it or right next to it. So it could either be a black key, in this case from C to C sharp, or a white key from B to C. So, right. So, like I said, the next note over here above C would be C sharp, but it could also be called D flat if I'm at D and I'm moving down a half step. So it depends if I'm moving up a half step or if I'm moving down a half step. And I used to think, why would one note have two names, C sharp or D flat, if it's the same note? And this kind of comes down to how music is written. It's sometimes easier to write a C sharp in the key signature than it is to write a D flat. It's an easier way to write. So instead of having like, say, 6 sharps with the C sharp, you could just have 3 flats and you could have a D flat in there. So it's just sometimes easier to write, depending if you're in sharps or flats or what key you're in. So that's kind of the main concept. If you're going up a half step, it's sharp. If you're going down a half step, it's flat. Where it gets a little confusing is, like I said, in between B and C because there's no black key, and E and F because there's no black key either. So you would, if you were in F and you wanted to go down a half step, there's no black key, so you would have to go down to E. So this note, E, natural, can also be called F flat. Same with B. If I'm at B and I want to go up a half step to C, this note is either called C or B sharp. So that's where it could get a little confusing. The black keys are pretty straightforward. So if I'm at C and I want to go up, I'm going to go up to the C sharp, which is here. If I'm at D and I want to go down a half step, I'm going to go to the black key, which is D flat. Same with F, going up to F sharp, G going down to G flat. Same note, different name. And it all depends on the key signature you're in, just because it's easier to write in certain key signatures, either F sharp or G flat. Same thing here. If I'm going down to the black key from A, it's going to be A flat. And if I'm going up to the same black key from G, it's going to be a G sharp. So that's the main concept with sharps and flats. In the next episode, I'm going to explain how they come in handy with key signatures and writing them in. That way it's not so confusing with all the G sharps, flats, and all that, and natural signs as well. So I hope you liked today's episode. I know it was a little confusing at some parts, so if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. And also, if you have any recommendations for future videos, leave them in the comment as well.